Yeah, g'day guys. Got a really exciting one today. It's in the workshop, well, sort of in the workshop. It's a firefighter trailer. I think that's what you're going to call it. Check out the title, that's what it'll be. Anyway, so today's a lot of welding, grinding, cleaning, bit of plodding. Yeah, anyway, I've got an old trailer, dodgy trailer, that we're going to fix up. And I've got an old tank, I've got a few other pump parts. We're going to build something that's we're going to need, well, hopefully we never need, but it's for fire prevention. Here in Australia we have some horrific bushfire seasons, and we're coming up to one of those. It's quite hot and dry at the moment, so hopefully we don't have anything locally to us. Hence why I do a bit of land clearing around the place to keep the fuel load lower as we can, not just for us but any of our neighbours, so I do a bit of that. But anyway, so we're going to make a little firefighter unit today. I'll bring the trailer up. We've got to do a little bit of work to it. We're going to do a little bit of work to this trailer. I think we're pretty close, you know, it won't take too much. It'll be right. Here we go. So guys, I'm going to bring this trailer in. It's sort of all I can afford. It's a bit of a tight budget on this one, on this project. So bear with me. I'll make something out of this. Just I'll bring it in. Here we go. Isn't that a ripper? She's the cheapest one I could find. Actually, it was even donated to me. So, yeah, it doesn't look much. But you've heard of the old saying, making a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Yeah, well, this is gonna be it. Yeah, it doesn't even have a drawbar. Yeah, I know. We only got one good wheel, and we can see through the sides, and the floor's crap. So anyway, so that was fun. Anyway, I'll bring the other one in, eh? Here we go. Fooled yous. Anyway, so it's slightly better, a little bit. Like, it needs a bit of air in that tire, and it has no floor, like none at all. There is no floor because it did rust away, and the mudguards look pretty, yeah, I don't know what they were. This one was also donated to me, but we can certainly make something out of it. It's sort of nearly most of the components that I need for this project, other than the pump and the fire reel and, you know, heaps of fittings. And so we've got a tank, it's just sitting there, has all the requirements that you need for a little tank. So what I'm actually going to do is remove those beautiful mudguards, and I've got some new ones coming, and we're going to make something out of the two. Yeah, you're probably wondering what's left on that other piece of junk. Well, it's the axles, because this is a 1,000 litre tank, and these little old axles, the standard one will only handle 750 kilos. They start bending the axles out on the ends there where the bearings go. So I can actually make this one into a tandem. So all I got to do is move that set of axles, that axle, move it forward a little bit and put the other one behind it. So then it's a tandem. It'll give it much more stability because the water swooshing around in there will not be real stable, if you know what I mean. It'll be like this. So I will just quickly remove that tank. It's just sitting on there at the moment. And I'll flip it over and start cutting and removing bits and make it into something that's respectable. Then I might try and do a bit of painting on it somehow. Not that good at painting, but so we'll get into it, eh? Here we go. So here's some of the other gear that I've got to go with this firefighter trailer. Just bought a second-hand old fire hose reel, like off a commercial building. That'll certainly do what we need. Has the proper spray nozzle and everything. And this little beastie here, it's a GX 160, good old Honda reliability, and it's a proper firefighter pump. The red unit is the one we want because we want a bit of pressure, and it has multiple ports, and I've got a few other fittings and so forth to go with it. It'll certainly do the job because the pump itself has to do two functions. One, it has to pump the water out of the dam or a reservoir or wherever the water is stored into the tank. Then it has to be used as a pressure unit, so it can pump out the hose so we can go and squirt it on a fire, or even just as a backup unit for the rural fire brigade to top up one of their tanks or whatever they need. Like, I mean, I know it's only 1,000 litres, the tank unit, but apparently they only have about 1,500 litres anyway. And it's not necessarily all the water they use, it's their wetting bags and rakes. And anyway, so we'll get into it. Let's start pulling this trailer apart. Well, it's all stripped. I guess that's what you could call it. All the crud's off it. So the axle frame and everything, the spring mounts and the rear shackle mounts. Needs a little bit of panel beating on that back support bar, or the light bar I think people call them. You put the lights in there. So I've just got a little bit more grinding to do. I want to clean up all the way along the chassis rails, and I'll give that a bit of a panel beat with a sledgy. Try and tidy that up a bit, get it sort of looking straighter. This side's, yeah, pretty bad. The rust on the actual side of the trailer, the sheet metal, doesn't really matter, and I can put a little strip over the top of it. No one will ever see it. That's only for aesthetics, I guess, because it's not actually ever going to carry gravel. Well, at this stage it's not. So yeah, I'll clean up these chassis rails, ready for remounting. I'll tidy up all these brackets. See, I just cut them off, so I'll give them a tidy up. Those bolts look okay. The rear ones don't, because they need new bushes. See, they're out around. So I've got new bushes for those. So one axle has a shackle type spring, and the other one has a slipper type spring at the rear. So not quite sure how I'm going to do it. I might put this green one at the back, so the slipper sort of sits back here somewhere, and the other one where the shackle will nearly be in the middle of the trailer. So it'll look right once it's there, just hard to explain. So the two sets of axles and hubs, and they look alright. They look a little bit cruddy with the paint on it, but that'll all wire brush off, so I'll give them a bit of a clean up. And so once that's all cleaned up, I'll get it all inside to the shed out of the hot sun, and we'll start making it look like a trailer, something that has wheels on it. Now I've got a bit of a problem. This wheel's yeah, well, you couldn't put air in it, wouldn't hold anyway. That was the spare, and here's the other four. There's three of them that will work, and the last one, well, the tyre's bung, but that's, I can get another tyre. But we'll, and that side's okay. Yeah, but that's not. So that wouldn't be real safe. Now, something I would like to mention is this trailer is not going to be for road registered use. It's only for around my property and my neighbour's property. Maybe someone down the street if they absolutely need it, but it's not designed for road registered use. So some things might look a little bit cruddy and rough, and it'll look nice in the end, and it'll certainly hold the weight. Like those two axles will easily carry 1.5 ton together. So I've just got to find another wheel. But yeah, so don't think that it's gonna be some road death trap or something, because it's not actually going on the road. It's just for this purpose, a water tank, and it'll just be parked up down near the dam, ready for a just in caser. Hopefully that never happens. Anyway, so I'll do a little bit of grinding off camera, and we'll lift that up and put it inside in the shed, and start to put it back together. Here we go. Okay, this is sort of where we're at. I've had to do a bunch of dimensions and measurements and checks while off camera, but I think I've got it all together now. I've got the mudguard sitting in place. It's just sitting there, not even tacked, because I can't go back any further. That's as far back as it's going to go. I've had to put some razor blocks here to what I'm trying to do. If you have a look at that bubble, that is nowhere near level. So if I go up, if you have a look there, I've only got about 12 mil, and then it makes it level. The reason for that is the front axle and springs has shackles at the rear, where the back axle only has a slipper. So I've done a bit of mucking around, a bit of adapting, if that's the right thing to say. This spring bracket is from center to the base about 45, and this one's about 35. So they were around the other way, so I just swapped them around to try and get the height right, because we've got all this extra height here where the slipper at the back doesn't have any real height. So I've just put that spacer under it. It's about 65 high. So now they're about 12 mil in difference. So the back will be 12 mil lower to the ground as such. But that's okay, because the shackle spring by design has more movement, and it will bounce easier. So if the front one is loaded that little bit more, it's not going to be really a problem. Now I've gone and done a bunch of marks here. This line here is the center of the actual whole trailer. It's 1800 long, 6 foot long. So that's the actual center, and don't mind where these are sitting. That's not really relevant. It's where the center of this axle and the center of this axle is to that center mark, because for the trailer to tow properly, you need to have the axles back from center. I think the rule of thumb is 1 inch every 4 feet or 6 feet, I think. So what I've actually got so far, mainly because I don't have any other choice, the mudguard's right at the back, and the gap from the edge of the hub here to the back of the guard is the same as the guard there to this edge of the hub. So that's right. And I'm back, have a close look, about 1 inch. So there's center of the whole trailer, and I'm back 1 inch. The whole axle is 1 inch back. The group of axle is back by 1 inch. So I've sat the wheels on there, looks really nice. The mudguard's just sitting there, like I said. So that's taken me a couple of hours just to get that right. The dimensions right where I'm happy with them. So now I can go ahead and tack a few things in place, like all the front saddles, all these spring brackets. I had to put all new bushes and new bolts. All the old ones had to come out because they're all stuffed. They're all 9/16. Some of the actually the original ones were on this one here, the shackles, they were only 1/2 inch, so I've increased them to a 9/16 because that's what I had, and they're actually meant to be 9/16 for trailer springs here in Australia. So they're all new bushes, all new bolts, or pins is what I think you call them, shackle pins. But they're all 9/16 high tensile bolts. So I will start welding. I'll get a few tacks in place and then check all the dimensions again. Make it look like it's supposed to. So I am going to put a few extra cross members and a few extra gussets, because this is C-section. I don't know why it is. It's just maybe because it's home built. So I'm going to put a few gussets under there to give that a bit of extra strength, and same with under those. I'll put a couple of extra webs under there to give it that strength. So I'll do all those and I'll come back to you. So it's the end of the day. It's nearly dark time. So I might call it a day, and with the magic of the internet, you won't notice any difference because I'll be here straight away in the morning. So here we go. I'm back, fresh new morning. You can see all the light under the edge of the door there. Okay, I've gone around and rechecked all the mounting locations. That's probably the right word, mounting locations. So I've gone and marked them all. Now I can actually just tack weld them all into place and then remove anything that has a bush in it. Like once I've tack welded all of that, I pull this pin out because there's a bush in there. So when I actually do weld it, we don't melt any of those bushings because they're only nylon. Actually, here's one here. I'll show you. Here's one here. They're only a nylon bush. Don't quite know how they're made, but they're really, really tough. Sort of like a neoprene, but not. So they're a 9/16 hole in the center for real bolts, not these cruddy old 1/2 inch ones. And I think they even look like mild steel. Yeah, they do. So we've gone beefy, gone to the 9/16. So anyway, back to the tacking. So I'll tack all that together and then just lift away anything that's going to melt in the way of bushes, and then I'll be able to weld it all up. And then we've got a suspension set up. So here we go.
did that with the old air chisel. I'm not sure if you can see that. Someone's welded the plate that holds the coupling to the A-frame with a stick welder, which generally is okay, but if you don't chip away your slag, you don't sort of see how bad that is. It's not, well, yes, it's bad. You knock away the slag and it's really bad. This side's even worse. There's not too much weld actually holding that on. So I'm glad I really gave that a tidy up. I'll put a big heavy bead in there anyway. And I cleaned up the inside and I'll put a bit of weld in there. Just knocked all the paint away and any rust with the old air chisel. Welded that chain on and welded that bottom bit. Every little bit of integrity is going to help. I'm going to weld that up. And I tied it up in there so I can put a little weld in there. It looks like this is an actual piece of angle iron inside the channel. So I'll just make sure it's connected very, very well. Same with the other side. I'll put a weld in there. Don't know about that rust piece. I might just cut that piece out and put a newer piece in there. Anyway, these gussets I did before, that's a whole cross member, but it's sort of a gusset, and I put a gusset in there. Can't really see. There we go. This one just here. And the other side's all done, all welded. And those ones, they're a little bit tricky. I had to cut around the shape of the channel and connected it to the rear spring hanger, or the slipper. It's not really, well, it's a slipper, yeah, but it holds a lot on that. And the actual channel at the back here, I welded all that on so it's connected and straightened. I gave it a serious beating. It's got plenty of weld on there, that gusset as well. And I put an extra couple of welds on those cross members. They looked a little bit sus. So I'll do this bit of welding up the front here, and all the rest of it's cool. Well, should be cool by the time I've done this bit. So I'll weld all this up, and I'll start reattaching the axles and the spring setups and everything. So then we're sort of nearly ready. I might try and tidy up. Well, this side's not too bad. Cut some of that crud out, put a patch over it. The other side's really bad. Yeah, I don't quite know what's caused that, but two bits of metal together without any paint or sealant of some kind, they rust when water gets in there. So, and people leave all sorts in their trailers, which is normal. Everyone does it, I've done it. So, a little bit more welding up the front there, and we can get it to look like a trailer. Here we go.
she's all turned over and on jack stands, which makes it a little bit easier and a bit higher to work on, off the ground a bit. So all I got to do is tidy up, like cut out all that. It's really bad. Like that side there, it looks pretty good. There's only a couple little holes there, which I could probably just plate from the outside and etch prime and it'll be sealed. So that's all good. A little bit more welding to do on those gussets I put, now that it's up the right way. I will cut that centerpiece out. I don't really need that bolt on there, so I'm definitely going to cut that piece out, and a huge big rust hole there. I'm glad I did take the coupling off. There's a mountain load of rust under it, and this weld is started to peel. So the weld itself has actually come away, not the steel, so she's a little bit dodgy. So I'm glad I did all that welding on the underside there, on both sides. So I'll grind that away and bash it back down with a hammer, big hammer, and weld it back on properly. Same with the other side. I'll give that a tidy up and give that a flogging. What else? Got to straighten this front. She's got a bit of a woof in it, so I'll just put a come along or something and pull it back that way. This side isn't too bad for the rust in the side there, just a few little spots, which I can certainly manage. And then I can mount the guards once all that rust has been removed and tidied up, which will make it look really good. So I've also finished straightening all the back end here. Like it looks all sort of like a C-section again, and it's welded to that that block there, that riser with a big gusset on there. So you can see the big gusset goes there, and it's all welded to that. So it's really durable. It's probably way more over engineered than it needs to be, so actually I know it is. It's not probably. So it's definitely going to be able to handle the weight and the terrain, because it'll be towed by a four-wheel drive or, well, tractor for myself, but if any of my neighbours want to borrow it, if they're going to do a burn off or anything, or something nasty happens, at least they'll be able to tow it without any trouble. They've all got four-wheel drives, so I must be the only one without one. Anyway, so what we've got left to do, once the trailer is actually rolling and tidy and towable, actually Gary Murphy from AMC Restorations has offered his services to give it a bit of a paint job. So that'll be really nice. That'll look really good once it's all finished. So guys, this is the end of today's video. So thanks for hanging in there. This is only part one. There's going to be a couple more parts, probably only one more on this trailer. And then I've got a few other things to do with the pumping unit and things like that. Guys, if you like this video, give us a bit of love down there. Give us a click on the like button, and comment for sure if there's any other ideas or things that I should be putting with the rest of the trailer as a firefighter unit trailer. If you want to see the rest of this build, subscribe and then click the notification bell so you'll be able to see everything that comes along. Thanks for watching, hey?